computer, and then although it would have been easier to record on a cloud, but now it's okay. We'll
There we
figure
are.
out a way. Yes, you found me?
Yeah.
Excuse me. Let's see. So we can share. Hello, everybody. This interview,
Hello,
in fact, I feel
everyone.
like I need to make the honors because it's on my personal profile. So guys, I totally apologize if you are friends or family that you do not want to hear any of this. Our intention was to do a live stream interview on Dr. Anna's Facebook page. But for whatever reason, I think the Facebook algorithms just changed overnight, and we could not stream neither on my business page nor on her business page. We could only stream on my personal profile. So here you are. Things happen for a reason. You might need to hear whatever we have to talk about today. So let whatever happen be okay. If you enjoyed the conversation, tune in, ask your questions, share with your friends. If not, just live it and go about with your days. So I have the pleasure to be interviewed today by Dr. Anna. I would let her first introduce herself to my friends, and then of course remind her own community who she is because this is going to go on her community as well, and then we'll
Yes.
dive into the topic of our conversation today.
Yes. Hello, everyone. So thank you for joining us, and sorry for a bit of a delay. So we had some technical difficulties, so I'm just sharing this to my pages. So I'm Dr. Anna. I'm a wellness coach, and I specialize in human potential and also in human sexuality coaching. So you can think of me as a love and relationship and an intimacy coach, if you will. So that's my specialty. So
Nice.
now when we got all these technical challenges, hopefully done. So I'll be sharing to groups and Facebook pages so we can start the conversation while Mihaela gets her sharing done. I'm just going to share a little bit about myself. So we are here today to talk about how to optimize our hormonal health. And we know that the biology of hormones are going to have a direct effect on how we show up in life when it comes to our intimate connections and intimate relationships. So I wanted to invite Mihaela for a conversation, and I'm so happy that you join us, and we want to learn more about how we can optimize our hormonal health, our endocrine health, and with diet and exercise. So I have a PhD in neuroscience, so I know all about how the nervous system works, and now I'm also about to graduate as an erotic blueprint coach. So I know all about the love connection that we humans have and how to optimize that. But I know that the biochemistry and the biophysics of our body are so important. So if our hormonal health is not where it could be, that is going to have an effect on our body's response to sexual stimuli, for example. So that's why we have Mihaela here today. Hi, Mihaela.
Hi. Awesome. I love listening to you, how you explain the complexities of the human body. And I love your work, as you know already. I had the pleasure to have some private work with you, and I'm in your private group, and I took some of your online programs. And I have to say that unfortunately, we don't talk enough about our sexual health. It tends to be one of those subjects that are talked about in secret, and we have lots of all sorts of ideas about the importance or the role it plays in our health. But as you, my friends, and those that have been following me know, I believe that we are one complex human being. And although we tend to separate, brain health, hormonal health, sexual health, we try to compartmentalize ourselves. One doesn't exclude the other, and one is not more important than the other, and they all support each other. In other words, the health of our brain dictates the health of our sexual life, and our sexual life controls the health of our brain or digestion or anything else that we can take in the body. So that's kind of how I see it. And I'm so happy that you invited me to talk about the role food and lifestyle in general plays in our health as a whole, and with respects to this aspect of life, you know, our hormonal health and how it pertains to sexual health.
Perfect. So why don't we start, Mihaela, if you just want to share with everyone about your background, who you are, who do you serve, and some of the exciting programs that you offer for people as well. And
Yes,
then I
I'll
have
be
some
happy
specific questions
to.
for you.
I'll be happy to share a little bit about me, but not too much because I'm boring. Nobody wants to hear
The
too much
topic is
about.
quite exciting today, yes.
Exactly, the topic we want to cover is more exciting. I'm originally from Romania, for those especially from Europe, and you're from Europe as well. So we
Yes,
both
I'm
have
from Finland. And
accents.
yeah.
So people may be, oh my gosh, where are these two girls from? Because they have
Yeah.
some accents there. Yes. So originally I'm from Romania, but I've been living in the United States for the last 20 years. And I started my career path into the health field as a veterinarian. So I have a veterinary degree. However, I always, you know, like we know that we have a calling and a purpose in life. My calling and purpose was always about optimizing human performance, and to be more precise, not only performing well, but preventing diseases and slowing down, because we cannot not age. We age no matter what we do, but slowing down the speed at which we, or the rate at which we age, and maintaining our functionality and vitality into our, you know, advanced years of life. So that was always something that drove me. I had this inner drive to know what can I do so I age better, I function better, I up, you know, I go to the next and the next level. I do not want to accept as a limitation something that society or common knowledge says that that's how it has to be. So that's and because of that, to go back to what I'm doing now,
Yes.
I left the veterinary career. I put it to the side, and I went and I studied nutrition, human nutrition. So I have a master's in human nutrition, and then I became a registered dietitian, and I have several certifications in the nutrition field. But again, my focus was always on like a big picture, whole picture, 360 approach to health, not just looking at food. Um, the way, you know, we think of calories and meal plans and things like that. Again, the whole picture, what makes us this human, complex human biological machinery function optimally. So that's where I spend most of my time, in understanding the human blueprint as a again, as the animal. What is the human animal? How does it function? Biology, physiology. So because of that, what's the best way? What's the most again, effective way to eat so we optimize our biology?
Right.
What's the best way to live our lives, again, to optimize that? So I tend to mix science, modern nutrition, with ancestral wisdom.
Okay.
I like to go back in time and try to fantasize to how our ancestors lived,
Mhm.
and then I look at how we live today, uh, holding as a commonality the fact that our biological blueprint has not been changed as much, if at all, in in comparison to our environment, to our living conditions.
Mhm.
So that's the constant we have there. However, the way we live today, the environment is very different. So how can we create our external environment, um, or manipulate that to support our biology, which is very similar
Right.
to the one of the men that lived on Earth, I don't know, 1 million years ago or 300,000 years ago.
Mhm.
That's kind of my
Right.
approach. So ancestral and science and holistic, looking at every aspect of life: food,
Right.
movement, sleep, stress management, nature interaction,
Mhm.
etc., etc.
Perfect. So then we share a lot of similar thinking that we humans are holistically biological, amazing beings, and we need to look at all the aspects of our life. So when we go back to talking about intimacy, I often get this question from, especially when we age, and I love that you mentioned that you are so interested in looking at the aspects of human aging and what can we do to optimize our health and maintain the health and the vitality, especially. And vitality and sexuality go hand in hand. So that's super exciting and interesting to me, because it has been shown, as you know as well, in scientific studies, that people that are sexually active are shown to be have higher vitality, and their hormonal balance seems to be better, and overall health. And obviously exercise and diet go hand in hand with sexuality. So optimizing all those and many other aspects that you talked about are so important and interesting for sure. So I'm just curious about, I've been reading about intermittent fasting and the different health aspects and benefits of intermittent fasting. So I'm curious about, do you have any insight? So first of all, what is intermittent fasting? And do you have any insight how it might affect our hormonal health? And does that really have an effect on our vitality and sexuality especially?
Yes, I love it. And especially because we start with the absence of food rather than with, not with what we put in, but what we let go of. And when it comes to sexual health, I think a lot has to do with what we're willing to let go from our mind, so we can allow our body to feel, right? So with regards to fasting means the absence of food. We are staying away from um, acquiring energy or giving energy, external energy to our body in the form of food. And there are many ways in which we can fast, but the one you just mentioned, intermittent fasting, I would say is the most easier adopted into our lifestyle, and is has many forms. Intermittent means, you know, chunks, right? So what do we typically do in modern industrialized societies? We have these scheduled meal times. We know that we should be eating 3 meals a day, and preferably 1 to 2 snacks. So here we are, out of I don't know, 12 hours awake, we end up, or maybe we are more than 12 hours awake. I'm not good at math. If you are good, please help
Yes.
me. So
So
let's
we're
say
awake
from
from,
6
let's say,
a.m.
7 to 10, so 16 hours, something like that. Yeah.
Okay, so
Yeah.
most people on a window of awake time of 16 hours will find themselves, guys, sorry, I was trying to find a quiet place to do this. So, Andre, sorry, my son just burst in. I know, he built it by himself. Andre, please, I came here for a reason, Mama. Thank you. So, okay, I'm going back. So the idea is that we eat frequently throughout the day, and we spend the only time we spend in the absence of food is during an overnight sleep. Let me close the door. 1 second. It's too much noise. So when we talk about intermittent fasting, we want to remind people that intermittently they can refrain from eating food outside of the time when we're sleeping. That's an overnight fast, when we don't consume. Most people do not eat. There are people that, you know, eat in the middle of the night, but most people, once they go to sleep, for the duration of their sleep, they don't consume any food. So we in the one way of adopting intermittent fasting, we are restricting or shrinking the window of food consumption while we are awake. So we go back to our initial example. If we are awake from 7 to 10 and we are used to eating from 7:30 all the way until 9 p.m., we want to compress that window of eating, let's say from 11 to 7 p.m. And that is a form of intermittent fasting. In other words, all the other hours of our awake and sleeping time, we give our body time to rest and digest. And again, resting and digesting are part of restoring the system. When we eat, we force our system to work. We generate free radicals. Do we need energy from food? Yes, we need energy from food, and we do need nutrients from food, but we do not need to eat so much and so often as we do today. And just to bring the ancestral living into the picture, just to juxtapose, the way we live today is very different than the way our ancestors lived when there were no supermarkets, drive-thrus, take home and deliveries, things like that. When humans had to actually physically go and hunt an animal to get their food or gather roots. And later on, when agriculture began, they were growing and raising their own food. But the way we eat today with this frequent regular meals really started in our modern industrialized times with the factories, when people began to work in factories and they had this regimented living. Humans are meant to flow with a life. So intermittent fasting is, what I'm trying to say, is very natural to our biology. It's not something we should be afraid of. If I don't eat, if I skip breakfast, you don't skip breakfast. You still break the fast, but you don't break the fast in the first hour when you wake up. You break the fast maybe 4 hours later.
Mm-hmm.
Or you may break the fast earlier in the day, but then you also stop eating earlier in the day. So you allow your body that rejuvenating time.
Okay.
So that's one way of intermittent fasting. Then there are 24-hour fasts when you go from, let's say, lunch to lunch or dinner to dinner. Then, of course, we move into prolonged fasts, 3 hours, 3 days or longer. But what I feel like it's the most practical
Mm-hmm.
and with a lot of health benefits is this form of intermittent fasting, where we compress the window of eating. Some days we eat on 6-hour window, some days we eat on an 8-hour window, some days on a 4-hour. And again, is the flexibility. We let our body and our life circumstances dictate when we eat and how often and how much.
Mm-hmm. So just yeah, I tried it. I've been trying it, and I haven't been too strict with myself. As you say, I like the fact of really having the consciousness of listening to what body is saying. So I do try to intermittent fasting every now and then. I think it just fluctuates a little bit with my monthly cycle as well, how my hormones are. So what I do, I stop eating, let's say at 5 p.m. or 6 p.m. and I don't eat until the breakfast next morning, 7 or 8 or sometimes even 9 a.m. So that gives me a nice window of whatever that is, between 12 and 16 hours.
Yes.
But I don't do it consistently.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious about how does that would have then an effect on the hormonal health?
So can you hear?
Or what the outcome is in the hormonal balance?
Can you hear noise? Should I go close
No.
the door? Oh, okay, because I can still hear them talking. So for one thing, when we fast, we optimize our metabolic hormones, not necessarily because hormones, which very well, are of very different nature. I shouldn't say nature, different specialty. Let's say metabolic hormone, they regulate our energy metabolism. Sex hormones, they control more our sex life. Then we have the thyroid hormones that regulate our Andre, mommy, please. Stress hormones, so on and so each one has their own specialty, although they interact with each other. Fasting as an intermittent fasting will primarily target the metabolic hormone, the way we generate energy for the body, the way we store energy for the body. And that is very important because, again, when we always take in, we're in this build up phase, and we don't accumulate, but we don't allow time to consolidate that, to digest, to rest, to build. That's when we find ourselves that we are more tired. And of course it has the overeating spills into our metabolic health, and then with insulin and insulin resistance, systemic health is affected through inflammation and all the effects of having this chronic high insulin levels. And that includes, it affects our sex life and our ability to reproduce. So we see a very common approach to reproductive health being ketogenic diet and intermittent fasting, because it in an indirect way reverses the processes that take place when we are in this state of overflowing. It's like filling up the gas tank and letting it spill over. That's what we do with our modern living. So in that sense, adopting intermittent fasting, and as we'll talk a little bit later, a lower carbohydrate / ketogenic diet, it will help balance metabolic hormones, and then by extent, a stronger foundational health, less inflammation, less oxidative damage, and then that will be reflected in our sexual hormones and sexual health as well.
That's amazing.
Does this make sense?
Yes, it does. And I like the analogy that you keep referring to, that how humans used to be in the before the industrialized culture kicked in, that we were active most of the day, and then we ate when we were active, and then when there was no activity, there was no eating, and sleep was important.
And I would like to add one more thing, like an indirect effect of that has more to do with perceived image. When we live the way we live, we look at statistics, 75%, if not more, of the population is overweight, right? And suffers from metabolic disorders. So and especially I'm talking for women, because I'm a woman and I can relate, and I work with many women, and self-image plays a big role into our willingness, to get undressed, to feel, how we feel. Do we feel sexy? Do we feel attractive? Do we want to be with a partner? And the reality is, and it's not shallow, it is that if we don't feel comfortable in our own skin to take our clothes off, from our mind, from our thinking mind, we are blocking ourselves from receiving pleasure. So by adopting a healthier lifestyle that will help us boost our confidence, feel better in our bodies, and of course when you get your brain to function on this optimal fuel that comes as a result of fasting and low carb diet, the ketos we can talk about later, you are like kind of a high state of like euphoric, healthy, happy. You want more. So that's kind of, like in parallel to what's happening in terms of our biochemistry. That's in terms of our self-perceived image and how we respond to life. It makes a huge difference.
Absolutely. And it seems to be, according to research as well, that people that are physically active, they have a connection to their body more often than compared to someone who is not physically active. So it does come with the lifestyle. It's not just, you're right, it's not just hormonal, even though hormones are a very important part of how everything flows automatically without really pushing or pulling too much. But then definitely the physical activity and the connection to body are the keys to having access to pleasure and self-confidence and loving your own body and being present
And
with
this
yourself.
connection to body is so important, because, and I love it, because you bring that connection to body in relationship to our pleasure, and I always bring the connection to our body in relationship to our relationship with food.
Yeah.
So to let the body lead our food choices and the amount we eat, and no, I can't be another
Phone calls.
phone call.
It's
So
like life is just the way it is right now. We have kids at home, we have people
yes,
coming and going. It is
yes.
every single interview that I have watched live, there's either a kid or a pet or a husband or something coming and going.
It's quarantine. Everybody is quarantined. Like, like if it's a big household, lots of people in the house.
Yeah.
If it's a smaller household, it's more quiet, right? Anyway, so now I even forgot what I was talking about. Oh, right, connect. So this connection with our body is so important, because then the body, we ask our body, what do you want? How do you want to be drop into pleasure, and how do you want to receive food? I mean, it's no different, and it's so important. Once we connect to our body, I feel like life flows. It becomes so easy. We are no longer worried about what everybody else tells us around that it should be. We know we have our inner love, um, inner wisdom that guides us. So
That's
that's,
amazing.
I really wanted to
Yeah,
bring that,
I
because I
love
feel
it.
like that's a commonality. Is, again, we
Yeah.
are one body with many needs, basically.
Yeah, I love it. And when I've been trying the intermittent fasting, I've been noticing what you're saying is really true, that when my body doesn't, I don't have to be snacking and eating all the
Yes.
time, and then when I don't do that, then I have more of sort of inner ears to listen to my gastrointestinal activity, or whatever you call it. But just like listening to, okay, I'm not hungry, I don't need to eat. And then I have more of ability to really listen to, when do I actually want to eat? When am I actually hungry? Because often I'm not even hungry. I'm just eating because you're supposed to eat. And it's like,
Exactly.
so
It's
I'm
like you're
starting.
fine-tuning, that relation. And
Yeah.
then it's freedom, because then if you don't eat, you're not going to be afraid, because the latest news headline said that you should be eating 5 meals a day, right? That doesn't affect you anymore. So all of a sudden you no longer live in fear, you live in trust,
I
because
love
your
it.
body, you trust your inner body's wisdom. And yesterday in the training I did inside the the Love Quarantine group, which you're a member of, I was talking about the chakras, and our third eye chakra. Like that's one chakra that we want to work and open the flow of energy in there, because that's our connection to our inner guiding system. So we can trust our body, so we can trust our inner guidance. And then of course we tap into intuition between the third eye and the heart chakra. We can tap into our intuition, and then that spills into the bigger purpose of life. But for what we're talking right now, if we were to bring like a less orthodox approach, would be our third eye chakra to activate that and strengthen that one, with regards to getting in touch with our own body wisdom. Okay.
Yes, absolutely. Beautiful. So we talked about intermittent fasting and fasting, just to recap that a little bit. So it really is a way also to build intuitive eating style as well. And we don't need to be eating all the time. So intermittent fasting, just put it in a very short context, is just not eating when you're sleeping, basically, or trying to figure out a way to eat during the active hours and then fast for between 12 and 16 hours. That seems to be helpful for the overall body metabolism and the balance of hormones that plays out then in sexual health, giving us more vitality and hopefully more energy. That seems to be another side effect as well.
Oh yeah.
So I just wanted to move on to the exercise. So fasting and exercise, and then the diet as well. So because you're the expert, I'm not sure how you want to answer my questions about exercise and diet, and how those are then going to promote and support our hormonal health and sexual vitality as well.
So let's touch a little bit on exercise. The way I see exercise is something that is planned and is structured and many people think of going into a gym. It doesn't have to be a gym, but it's some form of pre-planned structure way of moving our body. Can be aerobic exercise, lifting weights, our own body movements. That's exercise, planned exercise. So in my work with my women, I've always first raised the awareness around movement. How much do we move? Because it's not only working out in a gym or out or with a trainer for 1 hour a day, let's say, even if you do it 7 days a week. That is, if we take again a 24-hour cycle, right, and we only work out, move our body 1 hour a day, that's very little. It's like, what is 1 hour out of 24 hours percentage? Very low, right? So if we can become aware of the fact that, again, biologically, our ancestors, that's why I love going back, fantasizing, going back in time. Our ancestors did not sit all day in front of a computer, blue light, indoors, typing, watching TV, pressing remote controls. No, they actually had a very physically active lifestyle. They walked, they were nomads, they had to go run, hunt, run from being a cat, becoming someone's food, gather, build houses. I mean, it was an extremely labor intense or movement heavy lifestyle. So that is again in our biology. So the way we live today, just relying on being good and going to the gym for 1 hour or paying and working out with a trainer, it's just not enough. It's not enough to optimize, to support, to maximize this machinery. This machinery is meant to do a lot. So first thing first is move. Freely, I mean, vacuuming, doing housework, yard work, walking around. If you go shopping, carrying things in your hands, like anything, they're called activities of daily living. So think of having an active lifestyle. And then if your lifestyle is not, because you have to work in an office or you stand up all day cooking, whatever it is, be mindful of that and become creative and find ways to incorporate, to weave in movement. You can take dance breaks. You can put the timer and to remind yourself, if you're working on front of a computer, for example, every 30 minutes to stand up and for 2 minutes, move your body. And that adds up again. And it's about the frequency of movement, unlike with food. You see, so food used to be less, and movement used to be more. And today it's kind of flipped. We snack, we graze all day long, and we sit more. So we have to flip that. And it's just so simple when we try to imagine how our ancestors lived. Again, way before industrial revolution, even way before agriculture, like way, way before, when we had none of the commodities we have today. So go out and walk. I mean, walking is so therapeutic and it's so good for our mind body health. There's nothing better for humans than walking. Sometimes running is good because you need to be able to be fast and run from that threat. But just to run all day long, it's wearing you away. So it's like a too much of a stress, right? So then, of course, with regards to bringing it to our like women and sexuality, any dance will help. Like if you want to take an aerobic class, whether it's at home or in a gym, go for any dance class you can get. Zumba, jazzercise, whatever dance. And my favorite one is, of course, belly dancing. I don't think there is better way to move a woman's body, especially the upper body, the lower body, to get you more into your feminine body. And I would say wearing skirts and dresses, maybe no underwear under your skirt and dress, nobody needs to know, but that, I mean, okay, I'm coming from Europe and going nude on the beach is kind of like how you go. It's very popular, but oh my gosh, the freedom that you get when, everything is free. It's not like right now I have a bra. I feel like, oh, I'm like tight.
Yeah.
You want to be able to open up, to flow. The energy will move. And then, of course, the music, the rhythm, it's all connected. So for a woman that wants to get into her body and into her sexuality, I would say do movements like belly dancing, Zumba, hip, anything that will with music and rhythm and move your body rather than lift weights and look like a bodybuilder. I like that. I like showing muscles and all that. But it has to be a balance, because again, that's more into puts us more into the masculine energy. But if we want to drop into our sexuality, we want to balance that. It's like the yin and yang of life.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my
That's right.
approach to exercise. So it's first movement, then of course plan exercise with a certain goal. You want to stay flexible, you want to build muscle, so you build more bone density and you have more muscle mass for overall the benefits that come with having greater muscle mass, cardiovascular health, all that. So when you exercise with intention, and then outside of that you want to have a lifestyle that involves lots of movements, and find what works for you.
Yeah, absolutely. I love it. So when it comes to the life force energy, the sexual energy, Kundalini energy, all the different names for the same thing, what you're saying, I love it, that, when we have variety of different movement, it allows the energy to flow freely in the body as well. So when we are really open to our body and present in our body, we're present to that movement of energy, and that really comes from being able to move in all kinds of ways. So I love it. Not just going to gym and building muscle, but and then dance. Oh, that's so hot.
And
I love
especially like tribal movement, not necessarily movements that are controlled and regimented. I mean, it's nice to know the steps of a dance and choreography and all that is beautiful. Once you learn it, you flow with it. But I find it so much more powerful, like to listen to the drum and just let your body move. Just let the music move you, not your mind. I get goosebumps. It's nothing better than that. Nothing is better than that. Because then you reach the place of freedom. You're free to move, to express, to let that the drum, the music move you, move your energy.
I don't mind guys going to gym, and then because when they come out of the gym, they're full of testosterone. I love that one. So
that's what we want.
But,
manly man.
So it's a balance. So if you want to be feminine, you're going to go to belly dancing or salsa or whatever, and then you want to have a bit of sniff of testosterone and just get your guy go to the gym. That'll be hot.
So awesome. I think that's what I have to say about exercise. Again, it flow with it. Don't it should not add stress to your life. Oh, I didn't go to the gym today. I cannot check this box. No, it just has just be flexible and make it part of your, because then you love life. Life doesn't become it's not exhausting. I don't know, eating, breathing, moving, sleeping, all these things that we do to maintain ourselves should not exhaust ourselves. I don't know if that makes sense. I feel like people live in exhaustion today with all of this. Did I count my macros? I didn't do my meal plan properly. I didn't eat enough. I ate too much. I didn't do enough exercise, or I did the wrong. It's too much outside of us. Pressure to perform a certain way. When I go back again, our body knows exactly what it needs to do. We just have to allow it, trust it, that it will guide us into that.
Absolutely. And that is the biggest challenge with our modern society.
And
that is the thing. Like, if we just had the time, like right now we do have the time.
That's what I wanted to say.
It's a challenge because we're used to being stressed and busy. And how do you sit down and listen to your body?
Yes, that's what I wanted to say. Look at the blessing in what's happening. I know it's tragic. Many people are sick and are dying, and people are losing jobs and all that. We can see all of that, or we can turn the other way and we can see the many blessings that are coming from it. slowing down, spending more time, more quality time with our partners, with our children, because now they're home with us more. We can pull our hair too when we do homework, which I do every day, by the way, just so you know. But then outside of that, it's just so much fun.
Yeah.
Being more like creating a nest. How many people lost the nest? Oh, thank you for doing that. We no
Taking
longer
pictures.
have a nest. We our homes are like a parking lot. We come in to park, to crash and go out again for another rat race and come back and park again. When humans used to nest together, you know, that warmth, I miss it. I grew up with nesting in Romania, and communist Romania. It was very much like almost quarantine in many ways, you
Yes.
know. And I think we have to see the blessing in that. It helps us pause and rest again, just like the human body needs to pause and rest and rebuild. So we need, in terms of the way we live our lives, we need the rest and restoration and time to think in quiet, and that's it. I'm not going
So
to say
true.
anymore. I can go on on with this. Let's go to
So true.
our
Yeah,
next
so I'm just
question.
going to quickly recap. So before we go to the last question, so recap of the exercise. Really, again, tuning into our body, being present to our body, letting our body tell us what kind of movement feels good. If you want to improve your feminine side, you want to have belly dancing classes or salsa or something that really moves your hips, the feminine parts. Or if you want to be more testosterone filled, that's gym is fine. Either way, but just putting music on, dancing, moving, and listening to body signals in exercises, and making sure that we get up and move every day frequently, more frequently than we eat. So more movement, less eating.
Yes.
All right.
Flip it. Whatever has
Awesome.
been, flip it.
Yeah,
Yes,
flip it
very
around.
well. Good summary.
Yeah.
I was checking to see if anybody, any of our live viewers, if we have any questions, but I don't see. In any case, guys, if you watch the recording, please, you can hashtag after party and post your questions, your ahas, your thoughts, ideas. We will come back and respond to every one of you. Okay, we can move
Absolutely.
into
Thank you
our,
for that.
yes.
All right. So the last thing I was really curious about was the diet. So things that we actually then, if we're doing the intermittent fasting, so, you know, having the breakfast and then eating for the whatever 8-hour period and then fasting the rest of the time. So what is it that is good to eat then? What kind of diet would you recommend? And just bearing in mind that overall health, but do we have anything specific for sexual health there? Or
Well,
hormonal?
I would say for any like if you were to just look at hormones, for any hormone, pretty much, let's see, all our hormones, like sex hormones, adrenal hormones, are cholesterol based. So we need fat, guys, and cholesterol too. If that
Yes.
sounds strange to you. In fact, the origin of plant-based diets has a lot to do with suppressing human sexual desires. I don't know if
Oh,
you
wow.
know the
No, I
origin
did not know that.
okay. So initially, when the high fiber, high plant, low animal foods, low meat was started to be promoted, was by the Seventh-day Adventist Church. They are actually the founders of the modern nutrition science and the Dietetics Association, and their agenda was to suppress carnal desires or fleshly desires in young boys, so prevent them from masturbating in their religious sense, because obviously was a common knowledge up to that point that eating animal food with its fat content is building up, including like sex hormones and sexual desires. And to suppress that, you want to take away the very source, nutritionally speaking. Does this make sense?
Wow.
Yes.
That's
And then
very
if you
interesting.
look at, like, in spiritual world, right, we have the monks and we have the yogis and all those people that claim that to connect with the higher power, to be highly spiritually connected, evolved, whatever the terminology they use. What do? They isolate themselves, they fast, and they juice and they eat like basically nothing, some plants, because that's how you suppress your sexual function. In other words, sexual function is not essential for human survival. I should take that back. It's not essential for the body. Like when the body is under stress and threat, it will limit the resources, the energy that it sends to organs that are not vital. Like if you need to survive, like a famine time, you're not going to send energy to your sex organs to reproduce when you are about to die. You're going to send all the energy you've got to your heart and your lungs so you can still breathe, right? And your liver to process what needs to process, and kidneys what they need to process, right? So the sex organs would be marginalized in a way until there are, again, the body feels like it's strong enough to actually go and reproduce, so it reproduces itself, like as a species. It doesn't go extinct. Yeah. So although reproductive function is crucial to the continuity of a species, is not essential when the individual is under threat. So this is like a convoluted explanation to what we should eat. So in other words, if you want to have good sex hormones and overall hormonal health and brain health, you want to eat the food that this machinery is designed to eat, and that's animal foods with their own natural fat content. Those are provide the building blocks. They are nourishing. They provide the nutrients. Those are the nutrient dense foods that the humans thrive on. Plants are like a garnish. So I know this will sound to you like, what? I've been told that I need to eat 9 servings of vegetables and fruits, and I don't know how many servings of grains, and very little to none meat, and almost no fat, right? That is that wrong. If you want to optimize your biological machinery, that's not how you want to eat. And then look at the average population and you tell me if what I'm saying right now is bullshit. Because we've been following this advice for the last 50 years. And the population, by and large, those people that religiously follow the advice to eat all this, grains, whole grains or not whole grains, and vegetables and little meat and no fat, look at population as an average. Obesity, overweight, cardiometabolic syndromes, cancers, autoimmune diseases, Alzheimer's, allergies, asthma, all chronic diseases are just climbing. We did not see improvement in any of the chronic diseases in the last 50 years, despite this, by following this approach to fueling our biology, because it's not in harmony with the biology is designed to use. So for humans, the most nutrient dense foods are coming from animal source foods. Eggs, look at that beautiful yolk, please do not trash it. Eat it. Egg, think of that egg goes right to your ovaries. Okay, it has the nutrients that your ovaries are needed, all the fats and the choline and the baby that's growing in a woman's womb. Meats with their natural fat, organ meats, fish, seafood, cheese and dairy products, if you don't have a known allergy to dairy, and if you have access to good, grass-fed, and I have to say, preferably you get your animal source foods from smaller farms that graze their animals. They have them free on the pasture, under the sunlight, grazing, eating grass. That's what the cow's supposed to do. The cow's supposed to eat the grass. We're supposed to eat the cow. And the pig's supposed to eat the corn and the grains and gets him nice and fat, and then we eat the pig. That's the order of things, guys. I know it sounds maybe unfriendly to many of you, but if you really, truly desire optimal health, including sexual health, long, functional life, preventing premature aging, that's what you have to go to. What nourishes and fuels the body in the most optimal way. And then what's the role of vegetables? You can eat vegetables to your liking, but you should not stress over, oh, I didn't eat my vegetables today, therefore I'm gonna be sick. And or I don't know what the fear is around vegetables. I used to have the same fear because I I was a vegan and vegetarian and all that, and I was, you know, I was taught to believe that vegetables are the superfoods for humans. Unfortunately, that's not true.
Okay.
So did I
Thank you.
answer the question? So we eat
Especially, yeah,
animal foods and
yeah,
some
yeah.
vegetables. And I should add locally seasonally. So you see, even if we look at how our ancestors, let's say we go to our ancestors a million years ago when they were hunting and gathering. What did they hunt? Big fat animals, right? And they lived on that. And maybe seasonally, and depending on where they lived on the surface of the earth, they had access to maybe some nuts, maybe some tubers, maybe berries, very occasional, very seldom, very. So the variety of foods we see today in the supermarkets is not natural, guys. It's impossible. Never in human history we found foods from New Zealand, from Costa Rica, from Florida, from California, from, I don't know, Poland, all together in the same plate, in the same refrigerator. It's just not natural. It serves many interests, many industries, but it does not serve our health. So if you find local in your area, one vegetable only, be happy. Eat the one vegetable you find locally grown in your neighborhood, because that's what you are meant to eat, what grows in season in your area. And do not worry about too much variety of this and that, because you're nourishing, you're building nutrients are coming from the animal foods you eat.
That's right. Yeah, I totally get it. So in especially here in North America, there's just all these life hacks and eating a bit of that and trying this and that and everything else. But at the end of the day, as you say, we are humans, and you know, there's nothing more complicated to it.
No,
I
exactly.
do
Like,
understand.
and I like to say, like the lion doesn't go to question his digestive system and say, I don't want to hunt the gazelle anymore because I don't know why. No, no, the lion is a lion, is a carnivore. He hunts, eats, and sleeps.
Mm.
The cow goes and grazes on the grass and doesn't say, oh, I'm so bored eating the same grass over and over again. I want some mouse. I want to eat a mouse now because, you know, the mouse happens to be, or the rabbit. No, the cow stays in harmony with her biology and her digestive makeup. We are intelligent creatures, and we would like to believe that we can step out of our biology. We can, but it comes at a cost. If you are willing to pay the cost, it's a choice.
Yeah.
But let's not make that as a dietary guideline, because it costs lives,
Yeah.
unfortunately.
Mm.
Okay,
And
I
going
don't want to
back to
get political here.
going back to pleasure. So
Yes.
one of the you know, I always talk about the erotic blueprints, and I'm just about to graduate as being an erotic blueprint coach. And one of the 5 is the sensual one that really loves the smell and the taste and everything like that. So I always encourage people to go back into just, you know, tasting your food and savoring it and enjoying it, and that's our human nature as well.
Yes.
So we're a little bit luckier in that sense compared to thousands of years ago, that we have access to all these wonderful tastes and smell that comes with eating as well, but part of the pleasure and sensuality as well.
Yes.
But when it comes to maintaining the biological health, and then just keeping it very simple and thinking about how we as humans have been surviving, what have we been eating, and forget about the last 100 years. The direction in diet has not been the best. So,
Unfortunately.
in a
But, you
nutshell,
know, I
yes.
have hope. I still hope that there's more and more evidence, at least into the, you know, low carb ketogenic diet, and it's applications, health applications in metabolic health, in cancer, Alzheimer, neurological diseases. So the more evidence-based, because the science requires evidence-based. So what I'm saying to you right now, you'll be like, oh my gosh, she's pulling this out of her pocket. You know, where is the evidence? So we do start to have now more evidence based on real population studies, showing that it is a sustainable, safe way of eating. If we want to exclude our human evolution, to completely ignore that and just to look at the whole, you know, modern man. So don't be afraid to try, and it's always go back to trying and listening to your body and see how it works for you. You may be surprised that it will, you know, help you get that vitality going back on, because you nourish the body, you strengthen your organs, you balance the hormones, and then everything just falls into place. Does it take time? Yes, it takes time. Patience is required. It's not a quick fix.
Yeah. So how long do you think? So we're talking about low carb, you know,
low carb, yes.
Low carb, you know, you can still have some carbs, but it's lower than what we usually are, because everything that we eat is just
highly
dumped with
processed.
carbs.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
So let's clarify
so
that
low
a
carb and
little
high
bit.
fat. Low carb, high fat. And how long do you think it would take to see some results?
Oh, I would say in 3 months, someone that seriously cleans up their diet, so no processed foods, no packaged crap that you can't read the ingredients, that no part of the diet, no vegetable oils. Again, they're highly industrialized. So those are two things to pay attention to: the packaged food, to remove that, and the oils, the fats we use. So we don't go to the corn oil or soybean oil, canola oil. We go to more natural, traditional fats. You can do olive oil, coconut oil, and then animal fats like duck fat, bison fat, pork fat, tallow, all that. Butter, of course, or ghee. And then with regards to foods, again, all these processed baked goods, basically. Think of all the grains, the refined. I know we love croissants and they smell good and all that, but they're not helping our body. So we want to be willing to try something different. So we let go of all these processed, refined, carbohydrate-based foods, and we embraced as our source of carbohydrates the vegetables and some fruits, again, that you find locally, seasonally, preferably, because that will keep it pretty limited. You won't be able to, you know, go crazy on fruits, at least, because they are, again, very seasonal and local. And then eggs, bacon, fish, beef, pork, lamb, duck, whatever animal source foods you find around and you like. And how much you eat, your body will tell you when you can't overeat meat, I would have to say. So if you start with a good portion of food, when you look on your plate, it has like a 5-6 ounces of meat and some vegetables next to it, and it has enough fat on top from cooking, you will eat and just tune into your body, see how you feel. If you can't finish the whole thing, just say, okay, I can save this for later, or give it to your dog if you have one.
Yes, that's right.
And you take it day by day. And I would say with my clients, that's the minimum time I actually work with in a coaching program. I take them on a minimum 3 months. And in 3 months, we are, I would say, 180 degrees. And then if we go another 3 months, it's complete revolution. They find, when I say 180 degrees, is in terms of how they create new habits. And then another 3 months, about 6 months, most of my women create new habits. They create new default eating, sleeping, moving, all of that. Because that's what life is, it's habits. By default, you eat a certain food. By default, you move or you don't move, and so on. So that's what we help, create new eating and lifestyle habits. And I would say 3 to 6 months, you are like a brand new person. You think differently, you look differently, you act differently, you have a different energy. It's just beautiful. You're healthier, of course.
Yeah, that's amazing. I'm so grateful that you do this kind of support and teach, keep us in, keep us in line. Yeah. It's just, it is kind of now just thinking back, like when I was 20 or whatever, I guess life was a little bit easier. So that when I remember, just I used to be so tuned into my body, like I would eat certain things, and my body would just tell me that this is what feels good and right to eat right now. And it was, as you say, some vegetables, but a lot of good meats and healthy fats, or whatever fats that were there at the time. So, but now I think our lifestyle is so that if we really want to change something, because we're pulled in so many different directions, our focus is all over the place. And that's what we see in sex therapy and sexuality as well, is that people just don't have the time to basically to have pleasure and to really spend hours with your lover to explore the different kinds of communication. The same goes with the diet and the exercise as well, because we're pulled in so many different directions that if you want to change your life, you really almost have to hire a coach nowadays that keeps you accountable and checks in with you. Have you done this and this and this? And that's when you see the results. Otherwise, we're so pulled on in different directions. At least that's 100%, how I see my life.
100%. I'm so happy you brought this up, because yes, we do need coaches. It's, in fact, if we look at successful people in any area of life, whether it's in acting or in politics or in business or in life, they have mentors, they have coaches, because humans always were in tribes. They did not hunt in isolation, guys. They had the support. It was, you have to have a tribe. You have to have the people that support you with a leader that you follow. And this leader or coach is someone that you aspire. And when you reach the level of your coach, you go to the next level. We always want to have set the bar to from where we are higher. So we elevate, we progress. Otherwise, we stay there, or if our environment is down here, it's going to pull us down. So it's super important to work with a coach you trust, to be part of a community, or private or group of
people
that are ahead of you. That's
keep you
the best way.
That's
yes,
right.
Keep you accountable, give you the support, the resources. It saves you time also, especially because there's so much information out there. So easy to get confused and conflicted and overwhelmed. Every person I talk to, when I ask them, and they had to do like an intake form to see if we can work together, every single one is overwhelmed and confused. Because every Google search you do, you're going to get a different result. And then how are you going to sort through all of them? So you need, I'm sure if you go and search sexuality and blueprints and how, the best way to, to get into pleasure, you're going to find at least 10 conflicting advices. So how am I that doesn't have the prior knowledge and training going to filter through all of that? I go to you because you already did the heavy lifting work. So you help me apply what works to my body.
Yes, that's right. So stay in my body, but then again, listen to body's messages, but then hire someone who can guide into the next level. That's right. Wonderful, Mihaela. So I'm just going to wrap it up soon, because it has been an hour and we have this recorded as well, so we can post it for those who missed it, and you can watch it in replay. So that was wonderful.
Thank you.
Quickly recap. So what you were saying is that we could use intermittent fasting, which means that when we are active during the day, we will eat the foods, the meats of different kinds and some vegetables, and then fats are important. So we will do all that eating within the 8 to 10 hour window when we are active, and the rest of the time we don't need to eat and snack, really. So that gives our body that time to restore and renew, which is important then for our hormonal balance as well. Fats are important for hormonal production in our body. don't be afraid to eat fats. And then when we are active, we should be getting up and moving our body in ways that feel good, and not just concentrating on one type of exercise, but go for walks, dance, do the things that your body really appreciates, and find pleasure in movement. So
And
that's what I got
nature.
from you.
We
Was
should
that
add
a
nature
nature?
too.
Mhm.
Spend time outdoors. We need the sun. We need the you know, the nature, the trees, the air, the earth, all of that.
Oh, yeah. Wonderful. So some hints for what we use, something called erotic detective sheet that looks at our body, mind, health, and soul and spirit, and then how that how everything that we just talked about, and then it's like erotic detective sheet, and you looked at different aspects
Nice.
of your lifestyle and see where you can try to optimize your health so that
Awesome.
then your sex drive is higher and better, and you have access to more pleasure in body. So this is so interesting. Thank you, Mihaela.
I loved it. Do you have, is this like a questionnaire?
Yeah.
I think it's inside your group, right? But I don't think I've done it. I want to
No,
do
I
that.
haven't added it there yet. It's part of the coaching
Ah.
package. So
Oh, that's
really,
when people work with you.
yeah.
So you're having a
So
group program you're launching, or private?
yeah, usually I do private coaching. So I
Mm-hmm.
will be offering that once I get the erotic blueprint
I'm so excited. I think
certification. Yes.
I'm gonna want to do that. You know, I
Yeah.
love to learn and elevate.
Yes.
So I'm excited. So when is that?
I will get the certification early June, I think. So
Okay.
depending on how long it takes for the certification process, but I'm aiming at the early June, so then I can start offering individual coaching. So there's an online course. It's an 8-week course, and we go through the different erotic blueprints, and then we guide people to exploring, speaking, and expressing the different type of
I'm
eroticism. And
definitely
then,
signing up for that.
yeah, and then we
Okay,
look at
just so you
it's
know.
again, like you said, 360-degree look into your sexuality, your sexual health, your sexual lifestyle, your eroticism, and how you
Ooh,
can then expand and find ways to within yourself, and then with partner as well. So I work with
nice.
individual and partner people in partnerships as well, so couples as well. So at the end, people do expand
Mm-hmm.
significantly, and so it basically is
Super.
it is an amazing package. But yeah, that will be starting in June.
Oh, awesome. I'm so happy it's not now, because right now, like even the challenge that you posted, you know, the 5-day challenge, I could not do it with my son
Yeah.
being home and everything happening. But that's still in the group. I can always go back. By the way, for my friends that don't know Dr. Anna, please check her free group. You're going to share with us, right, where they can find you, since it's
Yes,
not,
I can
because
put
this
it.
was
Yeah.
intended to be on your page, but since it's on mine, it's
Mhm.
helpful to let people know how they can join your free group, and maybe still do the free challenge, and then stay in touch with you for when you launch the program.
Absolutely. Yes, I'll put it in the comments.
Cool.
Very good.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mihaela.
Thank
Are we
you.
done?
Up.
I'm good.
I'm
That was
complete.
a lot of information.
Yes.
Thank you so much.
Bye. Love. I'm
Bye-bye.
gonna end the live streaming. Let me see. How do I do this? I come here. Stop live stream. But we are still on the meeting, and I can stop recording.